was younger, I genuinely did not believe that it was possible to be happy. I thought it was some sort of like grand psyop. I thought that we were all trying to reach for and accomplish something that was like a mirage. You know, it's like you think it's there, but it's not actually there. It's not something that's actually achievable, and we're kind of all wasting our time. The reason I felt that way was because there was nobody around me that was happy. There was nobody around me that was fulfilled by their life. Everyone was in deep survival mode. Everyone was just kind of in this state of like just trying to get through life, just get it over with, like just wake up, get through the day, sleep, wake up, get through the other day, and just like grit it out until you die. That is what the environment was like for me. It was just a product of really difficult and challenging living conditions. Both of my parents are first-gen immigrants. I'm actually first-gen immigrant too, technically, because I was born in Pakistan and then my parents brought me here when I was like around 1 or something. So technically I'm first-gen immigrant, but lived experience-wise, I would consider myself second generation. But it was just very tough, right? So I didn't think it was possible to be happy. But fast forward like a decade later, I am happy. I wake up happy. I go to sleep happy. I live my day happy. I still experience challenges and things as we all do, but they are filtered through a completely different lens as to the one that I was wearing when I was younger. It is possible to be happy. Like, it is possible to get to this place where you feel like you are truly enjoying life. You're not just like pretending to be grateful for the miracle that is life, but you are genuinely grateful for the miracle that is life. Like, it's not a lie that you're like trying to tell yourself, hoping that it will be true. It's something that is deeply embodied and felt and moves with you as you experience your day, as you experience your week, your month, your year, etc. I saw a thread a few days ago and it was on this topic, which is what inspired this video. And someone was like, is anyone genuinely happy? If so, what did you do to get there? And in my reply, we're on thread, so the reply can't be super long, but in my reply, I distilled it down to very simple concepts. I would say 2 very simple steps on achieving happiness. Number 1, I cut out everything in my life that was not bringing me happiness, that was draining me or making me feel upset, etc. It's like I pruned all of the dead things off. Step 2, I started filling in the newly created gaps with things that did bring me happiness, things that gave me positive feelings. So basically the equation is as follows. It's cutting out things that decrease your levels of happiness plus adding back in things that increase your level of happiness. And it's so simple, right? But the reason why most people don't do it is because it's hard to cut things out, especially relationships. I would say that cutting out relationships that did not serve me or did not bring me joy, or did not bring me peace, did not bring me positive things, that was probably the choice that carried the most weight and has led me to where I am right now. I see people as portals. You know that concept that's like when you realize like every single person that is walking down the street has their own full life with their own trials and tribulations and joys, and you just realize that there's a whole world that lives within each one of us. And often we're so focused on ourselves, we forget that. So think about that, and then think about how that then translates into people are portals. So anytime that you engage with someone, you enter a portal into their world, their reality, their life. Now, what happens when you enter a portal into a world that is not as good as your world? Think of someone who is living a life that is extremely steeped in negativity. That energy begins to seep itself into your world. For example, if you have a friend who loves to complain or loves to talk shit about people or just loves to be judgy, they're judging others, they're judging themselves, etc., etc. When you have conversations with that person, how do you end up feeling after that? Not good, right? Because what's happening is that if you're not at that equal level of judginess and negativity and complaining in your own life, their energy will grate on you so hard that you will leave that conversation feeling way worse than you entered it in. And that's what I mean by people are portals. People will portal you into their worlds. And therefore, it's extremely important if you're someone who is on the journey of actualizing their heaven on earth reality, personal heaven on earth reality. By the way, I don't think I've ever spoken directly about what a heaven on earth reality is in my videos. I mention it a lot throughout my work. Think of the concept of heaven. I feel like even if you didn't grow up religious, you have a concept of heaven. That's why I use it, because it doesn't matter who you are, you understand what heaven is. It's basically the ideal reality. Heaven on earth just means bringing that ideal reality into the earth realm, into the here and now, into the present moment, into this life, which is very different than what mainstream religions teach you, which is all about aiming to get there at some point later. If you've ever done any self-work at all, like you want to increase your productivity, all of that stuff, you realize that there is no later. Like there is a later, but it's never later. It's always in the now. And so bringing the concept of heaven into the now is an extremely fruitful endeavor and worth it anyway. So what happens when you're someone who is working to actualize their heaven on earth reality and you engage with someone, you walk through someone's portal and they're not at your level of, I was going to say excellence, but just basically they're not at your level of fulfillment, you're going to be pulled back. You can get good at transmuting other people's stuff. So if you engage with someone and they bring you a lot of like negative energy, you can learn how to alchemize that and get rid of that. But I only recommend doing that only with people that you have to have around you, you know, like people that you can't cut off, like family or friendships that have lasted years, like just people that you don't mind that they do that to you. You still want them around. And the reason I say reserve that for only those people, because like don't go around letting everyone and anything in and just like transmuting their energy all day every day, because that takes effort and that takes work and that takes energy of your own. So reserve it for people that actually deserve it, because obviously the reality is that not everyone is going to, especially if you're on this like self mastery journey, and if you're potentially more committed than the people around you, maybe you'll find that no one meets your level of fulfillment, and that's okay, that's normal. But that's what I mean, like it's not that you have to cut everyone out and completely self-isolate, it's just that you have to be very specific and intentional about the people that you are engaging with, so that you can use the energy that you have to transmute negativity on those specific people. Cutting things out also goes with things like jobs and activities that you don't actually want to do. Obviously, with jobs, it can be a longer process to get yourself out of there. However, it's a worth it process. And just because you can't do it immediately doesn't mean that you shouldn't set the goal to do so. At the end of university, I made this video about 9-to-5 jobs, and in that video, I stated that I do not want a 9-to-5 job. I was still in university at this time, and just the environment around me, everyone was like gearing up to apply to places. I studied computer science, and so the main thing that everyone was doing was like dreaming and looking up at those big tech companies and being like, oh my god, maybe one day they'll choose me and I can like work for them and then my career will be set. Like there was this whole defined pathway forming that was like the normal pathway to go down. The summer before I had made this video, I had experienced working a 9-to-5 job for the first time in my life, and it was not in tech, it was in a nonprofit. I was working at the Terry Fox Foundation. It was just such a soul-sucking job. I only had to do it for the summer, but it completely sucked the life out of me. It was so horrible that it gave me PTSD in a way, and it gave me so much fear about working on 9-to-5 jobs that right then and there I decided that I was never going to do anything like that ever again. I was not going to let someone be in control of my time for the majority of my day. And at the end of university, I had no idea how this was going to work out. I just know that I was lucky that I caught that, like I set that intention early, because what ended up happening was that after I graduated, I never signed up to a 9-to-5. I started experimenting with other things immediately. The reason I said I feel lucky is because I think the other pathway that seemed like it could be good was if I graduated, got a 9 to 5 job for just a few years, while I set my foundation, save up money, etc. And then I'll go do my own thing. And I'm so glad I didn't do that, because then it's so much harder to let go of something that's already like taken root in your life. To cut those roots out, like it's so much more of an energy intensive process. So what I did for those first few years is I just ended up getting like a bunch of part-time jobs, and it worked out for me, and I still haven't had to get a 9 to 5 job. So setting the intention to not go down pathways that you know already that you don't want to go down, you'll be surprised at how life meets you and how it works around your solid decision making, your solid intention setting. In the alternate timeline where I got a job, then I was like super unhappy with it. I know people who went down that path. Actually, a really good example of someone, and I don't think she'll mind me mentioning her, is my friend Sheil, and I'm going to link her YouTube and her Instagram. She was working in tech in California, and she quit her job and she started a fashion brand. She posted this video, I think literally yesterday, about just her fitness journey, but she was talking about how so much of her body transformation was initiated by her mental transformation. She's now inhabiting her dream body because like a year or two ago, she actually listened to the inner guidance and she aligned herself with what she actually wanted to do in this life, what actually brought her joy. And she gave up the certainty and the prestige of a Silicon Valley tech job, and she quit it. And then she started putting all of her energy and time into her own thing, which was the fashion brand called Svarini. And like a year or two later, her life is completely transformed. Her body is completely transformed. Her mental state is completely transformed. That's an example of someone who went down the misaligned path and then pulled themselves out of it. So it is possible. If you are truly committed to creating a happy life for yourself, you have to do this stuff. You have to like rip off the band-aid. You have to do those hard things. You have to say no to people, places, things, etc. that you know deep down are not aligned. You are never going to achieve your happiness if you do not do this. Relationships, places you live, jobs, hobbies, activities, anything that you're currently engaged with in your life that does not add happiness to your life, create a plan and or intention, because sometimes planning is hard for some things that are so deeply entrenched into our life, like it's really hard to know exactly how to get out, but just setting the intention and being really decisive about that intention, you'll begin seeing the openings on how to get rid of those things. Okay, and then part 2 of the equation is adding back in things that you do like, you do enjoy. This is not going to happen automatically, immediately. So for example, if you purge your entire friendship group, right, because they're not aligned and they were making you feel like shit about yourself, it's not like as soon as you do that, new people are just going to appear from the ether and you're going to have a brand new, perfectly aligned friendship group to replace the old one. It could happen. It's not impossible. But in the most cases, it doesn't really work like that. Usually there's a gap. When you get rid of something, there's a gap, there's space in your life. I recommend enjoying the space in your life, because when you have space in your life, that is a accelerated self-discovery period. When there's no outer energies infiltrating you, you get to really understand who you are, what you like, etc. There's no rush to bring the new things in. Because you've put blood, sweat, and tears into the removal process and the excavation process of your life, do not rush into the same types of new friendships or relationships or jobs. Like, that is so important. I think so many of us can get so uncomfortable with that feeling of void space, with that like spaciousness where our life is not fully filled in, that we can just rush to repeating loops. But it is so important to hold your ground and wait until the new things come along that are truly aligned. And while you're waiting, look for stuff. You don't just have to like sit there and twiddle your thumbs. You can go and do things that will accelerate this process for you. So for example, if you're trying to look for a new job, if you want a new job, stay in the process of applying to stuff and looking for stuff. Like, stay in that energy and eventually you'll find something. But just don't say yes to something that you can already feel is not what you actually want. Same with relationships. Like, allow yourself to go out, be in the community, meet people, but but don't create bonds with people you know are not really your people long term. Like, don't like settle for something for now. It's a trap because it's never going to be for now. Think of like any new thing that you bring into your life kind of like a tree, and you plant the tree in your life anytime you create a cord with it or an attachment or connection with it. And the longer that you stay with that connection, the more the roots of the tree take hold in your life. The easiest is to just not plant those trees in the first place that you know are not your trees to plant. The best way to go is to just simply not plant the trees that you don't like in your garden of life. But sometimes we don't realize what we want until we see the opposite. It is possible to uproot the tree, but just know that it might take some more time and effort, but it's okay because you have your whole life. So yeah, summary of this video: if you want to be happy, follow the simple formula. Remove shit that you don't want in your life and add shit that you do want in your life. It's very simple. It's not always easy to act upon because it requires a lot of self-advocacy. It requires a lot of self-knowing, knowing what you want, knowing what you don't want. I think for some people, the first step is just to identify, like sit down and make a list. Actually do this. This is a good practice. Take a piece of paper, make sure it's a physical paper because there's something extra potent about physicality and doing these types of exercises in the physical world. Take a piece of paper, divide the paper in half. On the left side of the paper, write things that I hate in my life right now. Okay, we don't have to get that extreme. Let's go Marie Kondo method. Things that don't bring me joy in my life. That's on the left side. On the right side, things that do bring me joy in my life / things that I want to add into my life that will bring me joy. You can make that more concise. And then for the left column, think of everything in your life right now. Think of all the people that you talk to. Think of all of the things that you do in your life. It's okay if you miss stuff. Like, you don't have to like worry too much about it, but just allow your mind to drift and jot down things that are in your life that you don't want in your life, like your job or this certain friendship or this certain, I don't know, way you do your makeup. I don't know. Just let your mind flow. Don't pressure yourself too much and just like stream of consciousness, write down whatever comes to your mind, brain dump. Do the same with the right side. This is often the first step that needs to be taken before you can actually take any action, because so many of us have not done so much self-reflection work, and so we don't even really know what's wrong or what's misaligned. We've never even thought about it. So if you're in that stage, this is your invitation to do an exercise like the one I just told you, or come up with one on your own and start there, because that's going to set a powerful direction for you. And then if you're someone who already knows what's aligned and what's misaligned, actually freaking do the work and start clearing the shit and start building the new shit. Like, what are you waiting for? You are strong. You've been through so much. You can also go through discomfort that is for the sake of your heaven on earth reality. Can't you? I think you can. All right, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for listening and watching. I now also post the written version of these videos on my Substack, link in bio. As well, I'm active right now mostly on Threads, but all my other profiles are there, but I'm most active on Threads. So that's it. Thank you. Goodbye. Mwah.